Here is something that generally messes with my head every time I think about it. Take two people, same age, same job, same paycheck, let's say $70,000 a year. Fast forward 20 years, and one of them is financially free, completely done. They could quit tomorrow and be fine. The other one, still living paycheck to paycheck, maybe even worse off than when they started. Same income, completely different life. And here is the thing that nobody really talks about. It has almost nothing to do with how much you make, because I'm going to show you some numbers today that are honestly embarrassing. And I mean that in the best way possible, because once you see what's actually going on, you can unsee it. There are three habits that quietly build wealth in the background, and most people are doing the exact opposite of all three without even realizing it. I'm going to walk you through each one, but I want to start with one that I think surprises people the most, because it doesn't look like a money problem at all. Let's start with something that sounds crazy, but is completely real. A 2024 study found that roughly 1 in 3 people earning over $200,000 a year, that's $200,000, is living paycheck to paycheck. Nearly half of people making over 100,000 in the same boat. Read it again. These aren't people who can't find work. These aren't people struggling to get by one minimum wage. These are people making 2-3 times the average salary in the US, and they're still broke at the end of every month. So, what is going on? The answer is simple, but most people don't want to hear it. Income is offense, but getting rich requires defense, and most people have incredible offense and zero defense. Think about it like a sports team. You could score 40 points a game, but if you are giving up 45 every time, you are still losing. It doesn't matter how much you make if you spend it all the moment it arrives. And there is a specific trap that makes this worse. It has a name. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it's the silent killer of wealth. Here is how it works. You get a rise, so you get a nicer apartment. Then you get another rise, so now you need a better car to match the apartment. Then you start hanging around people who take nice vacations, and suddenly you're booking trips you can't really afford because everyone else is doing it. Your income went up, your spending went up with it, your savings exactly the same as before, maybe even lower. This is lifestyle inflation, and it's sneaky because it never feels like a mistake in the moment. Every single spending decision feels justified. You work hard, you deserve it, and maybe you do, but the version of you 20 years from now might disagree. The people who actually build wealth over time do something that looks boring from the outside. They keep their lifestyle modest even as their income grows. They drive regular cars. They don't move to a bigger house just because they can afford it. They invest the difference, quietly, consistently, without making a big deal out of it. It's not glamorous, but it works. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because lifestyle inflation isn't even the biggest threat. The thing that really accelerates the gap between the person who ends up rich and the person who stays stuck is debt, and especially the kind of debt most people treat like is completely normal. Let's look at two people again, same income, 75K a year. Call them Alex and Jordan. Alex has $5,000 in credit card debt at 20% interest. To pay it off in a year, they need to put around 500 a month toward it. That's 500 every single month that it's not building wealth. It's going backwards. Jordan has zero debt, same $500 a month, goes straight into an index fund earning roughly 8% a year. 1 year in, Jordan has $6,000 working for them. Alex has nothing to show for it except a cleared balance. And here is the kicker, that $7,000 Jordan invested, given enough time, it compounds. 30 years later, that single year of investing could be worth over $60,000. Multiply that across every year Alex is carrying debt versus every year Jordan isn't, and you start to see how two people with the exact same income end up in completely different places by the time they're 50. The goal isn't complicated. No credit card debt, no car loans if you can avoid them. The only debt worth holding long term is a mortgage on an appreciating asset. Everything else is just you paying to go backwards. But even if you fix the debt, even if you cut lifestyle inflation, there's still one more thing that most people get completely wrong. And honestly, this one might be the most dangerous because it operates entirely underground. You can't see it on a spreadsheet, it's in your head. Here's the habit. Most people have absolutely no idea where their money actually goes. I know, that sounds obvious, but I want you to stop for a second and actually think about last month. How much did you spend on food? Subscriptions, random stuff online at 11 p.m.? Do you actually know the number? Most people don't, and studies back this up. Humans are generally terrible at estimating how much they spend. We think we're spending $200 on food and it's actually $400. We forget about the subscriptions that quietly renew every month. We don't count the little purchases because individually they feel like nothing. And here's the thing that makes this worse. Paying with a card instead of cash makes it even easier to lose track. There is actually brain science on this. When you pay with cash, your brain registers the loss. It registers pain. When you swipe a card or tap your phone, that signal barely fires. The purchase feels almost free, and your brain actually gets a little reward hit from it, which is why spending with a card can become a loop you don't even notice you're in. The fix is simple, but you actually have to do it. Track everything, every purchase, every month. Not to punish yourself, just to see the truth. Because the moment you can see where your money is going, you can make different decisions. And the person who makes different decisions consistently is the person who ends up in a different place. Here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. All of those habits, good and bad, are downstream of how you think about money. And there are basically two modes. The first is a scarcity mindset, the belief that money is limited and there is never enough, that spending it or risking it means losing it forever. This can show up as a hoarding, keeping everything in cash, never investing, being paralyzed by financial decisions. Or it can flip and show up as the opposite, spending impulsively on short-term things to manage the anxiety, because if it's going to disappear anyway, you might as well enjoy it now. Neither version builds wealth. The second is an abundance mindset, the belief that money is a tool, that it can grow, that investing it isn't losing it, it's multiplying it, that short-term sacrifice creates long-term freedom. People with this mindset still make mistakes, but they're playing completely different game. Their thinking indicates not weeks. You can have the exact same income as someone else and end up in a completely different place purely because of which of these modes you are operating from. So, if you are watching this and you want to be on the right side of that gap, here's where to start. Step 1. Make a plan. Write down your income, your fixed expenses, and what's left. That's your starting point. You can't build anything without knowing what you are working with. Step 2. Deal with consumer debt first. If you are carrying credit card balances, pay those off before you are doing anything else. The interest rate on debt is almost always higher than any investment return you'll get. Clearing it is the highest guaranteed return available to you. Step 3. Automate your savings and investing. Set up a percentage, even if it's small, that moves automatically every time you get paid. Start with whatever you can. The habit matters more than the amount right now. Step 4. Live on less than you make. On purpose, not because you are suffering, but because every dollar you don't spend today has the potential to become multiple dollars in the future. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is the gap that wealth is built in. So, that's the framework. Same income, different life, and now you know exactly why. But here is something I didn't mention yet. Everything I just walked you through, the habits, the investing, the mindset shift, all of it can go completely sideways if you don't know about one specific psychological trap that most people walk straight into when they start trying to build wealth. It's not obvious, it's not what you'd expect, and it's probably the main reason people who start strong and end up quitting. I break down exactly what the trap is and how to avoid it in this video right here. Thank you for watching.